हरिदास ठाकुर की जाय।
जय।
प्रेम से कहो जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय।
जय।
श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन धाम की जाय।
जय।
ब्रज भूमि वृंदावन धाम की जाय। मायापुर नवद्वीप धाम की जाय। गंगा माई की जाय। यमुना माई की जाय। भक्ति देवी की जाय। तुलसी महारानी की जाय। समवेद गौर भक्तवृंद की जाय। All glories to the assembled devotees.
हरे कृष्णा।
Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees.
हरे
Hare
कृष्णा।
Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees.
हरे
Hare
कृष्णा।
Krishna. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga.
हरे
Bol. Hare Krishna. Thank you all for joining for our daily Srimad Bhagavatam study here at ISKCON of Philadelphia. Today we are reading, studying, and discussing from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 4, text number 26. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
I'll recite the shloka 3 times. Then after that, anyone who is interested may please feel free to recite. Uddhava Uvacha Nanute Tattva Samradhya Rishi Kausharavantika Sakshat Bhagavatadhishto Martyalokam Yihasata. Uddhava Uvacha Nanute Tattva Samradhya Rishi Kausharavantika Sakshat Bhagavatadhishto Martyalokam Jihasata. Uddhava Uvacha Nanute Tattva Samradhya Rishi Kausharavantika Sakshat Bhagavatadhishto Martyalokam Jihasata. Hare Krishna, please.
उद्धव उवाच ननु ते तत्त्वसम्राध्य ऋषिकौसारवन्तिके साक्षात् भगवतादिष्टो मध्यलोकं जिहासता।
हरे कृष्ण। उद्भव उवाच ननु ते तत्तो सम्राध्य ऋषिकौशाराभो अन्तिके साक्षात् भगवतो दृष्टो मर्तो लोकं जिहासता। हरे कृष्ण।
Guru Uvacha Nanute Tattva Samradha Rishi Koshravo Nanike Sakshad Bhagavata Dishto Martyalokam Jihashata.
हरे कृष्ण। उद्धव उवाच ननु ते तत्त्वसम्राध्या ऋषिकोशारवोऽन्तिके साक्षात् भगवतादिष्टो मर्त्यालोकं जिहासता। हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna. Anyone else? Okay, we move to the synonyms. Uddhava Uvacha, Uddhava said, Nanu, however, te, of yourself. Tattva Samradhya, one who is worshipable for reception of transcendental knowledge. Rishi, learned scholar, Kausharava, unto the son of Kusaru, Maitreya. Antike, staying nearby. Sakshat, directly. Bhagavata, by the personality of Godhead. Adhishta, instructed. Martya lokam, mortal world. Jihasata, while quitting. Translation and purport. Sri Uddhava said, "You may take lessons from the great learned sage Maitreya, who is nearby and who is worshipable for reception of transcendental knowledge. He was directly instructed by the personality of Godhead while he was about to quit this mortal world." Purport. Although one may be well versed in the transcendental science, one should be careful about the offense of Maryada Vyatikrama, or impertinently surpassing a greater personality. According to scriptural injunction, one should be very careful of transgressing the law of Maryada Vyatikrama, because by so doing, one loses his duration of life, his opulence, fame, and piety, and the blessings of all the world. To be well versed in the transcendental science necessitates awareness of the techniques of spiritual science. Uddhava, being well aware of all these technicalities of transcendental science, advised Vidura to approach Maitreya Rishi to receive transcendental knowledge. Vidura wanted to accept Uddhava as his spiritual master, but Uddhava did not accept the post because Vidura was as old as Uddhava's father, and therefore Uddhava could not accept him as his disciple, especially when Maitreya was present nearby. The rule is that in the presence of a higher personality, one should not be very eager to impart instructions, even if one is competent and well versed. So Uddhava decided to send an elderly person like Vidura to Maitreya, another elderly person, but he was well versed also because he was directly instructed by the Lord while he was about to quit this mortal world. Since both Uddhava and Maitreya were directly instructed by the Lord, both had the authority to become the spiritual master of Vidura or anyone else. But Maitreya, being elderly, had the first claim to becoming the spiritual master, especially for Vidura, who was much older than Uddhava. One should not be eager to become a spiritual master cheaply for the sake of profit and fame, but should become a spiritual master only for the service of the Lord. The Lord never tolerates the impertinence of Maryada Vyatikrama. One should never pass over the honor due to an elderly spiritual master in the interests of one's own personal gain and fame. Impertinence on the part of the pseudo spiritual master is very risky to progressive spiritual realization. ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकाय चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति सपदान्तिकं। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणि प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादि पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते सच्चिदानंद स्वामिनिति नामिने नित्यानंद प्रियप्रेष्ठ दीनभद्री कृपा कवित्तरि संकीर्तन शरणं मम। Hare Krishna, thank you all for joining. And this verse is a really, really beautiful verse. There's so many instructions in this verse. talks about respect, about humility, and overall Vaishnava etiquette. Honestly, I'm not at all qualified to speak on this verse. In fact, any verses, but since I'm put in this position and today's my turn to speak, I seek all of your blessings and permission because I am neither well versed nor I have the qualifications. But for my own purification, I'll just try to repeat what I have heard. But I humbly seek all of your blessings and permission before I speak. Hare Krishna. When I was preparing for this verse, I heard a few lectures. The first thing I was thinking is we are so fortunate as devotees. There is so much auspiciousness in the life of a devotee in the form of the Lord's holy name, the scriptures, especially like Srimad Bhagavatam, that we all are uh, hearing and relishing, and other scriptures, prasadam, devotee association, we are really very fortunate, and most importantly, the Lord's divine love that we all are so fortunate to have, to swim in this divine love. This is the best of the best, swimming in everything which is the best. But at the same time, this verse is reminding us that while we are engaging in all of these things, one should be very careful of one thing, and that is, aparad or offense. And we are warned by the Shastras about offenses. In one place, Srila Prabhupada says, when someone comes to Krishna, finally, who is the one who recommends us to Krishna? Any guesses?
Is it the Guru?
Yes. But eventually, whose permission and blessing we need finally before Krishna accepts us?
Radharani.
Yes. So Srimati Radharani makes that introduction or recommendation to Krishna. And she tells Krishna, please accept this devotee. And she says, he is better devotee than me. And Krishna is completely shocked. Radharani is the best. How can anyone be even, better than her, right? So that is her vision. She is only seeing one devotee's good qualities. And because of her desire, Krishna easily accepts any devotee she recommends. And this is the principle in Krishna consciousness. I'm just talking about myself, getting the mercy of the Vaishnavas. And it's by their mercy we get the mercy of Krishna. This is also called parampara system. Yeah. Evam parampara praptam. And we see that, in this verse, and we'll discuss that in detail. How can anyone be more qualified than Uddhava? If you think about it. According to the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, I may have mentioned this before, but since it's very apt in today's words, I'll just repeat this. According to the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, there is only one class of devotees better than Uddhava. And who is that? The Brajvasis. Outside of Vrindavan, there is no one comparable to Uddhava. Not Prahlad Maharaj, not Lord Shiva, not Hanuman, not even the Pandavas. in comparison to the Uddhava's devotion. So Uddhava is so dear to the Lord, and that Lord is giving everything to Uddhava. You know, reading that even the dress that Uddhava is wearing came from Krishna. All his ornaments are Krishna's ornaments. He even looked like Krishna. Such a powerful meditation that he turned exactly like Krishna also. Right. So actually he said he's born in fair complexion, but he meditated on that Lord so much uh, uh, that he became darker complexion like Krishna. And he's taking his lunch every day with Krishna. And after that, Uddhava is giving foot massage to Krishna. And we heard several times that in Dwarka, Krishna was looking for advice from Uddhava. Right? So he was a completely inseparable part or associate of Krishna. And imagine how painful it is for Uddhava to live separately from Krishna when Krishna decided to leave this planet. But it was Krishna who instructed Uddhava, stay back and preach this message, right? So, and we read in the previous verses, devotees wonderfully explained how, Lord was addressing Uddhava in the presence of Maitreya. Maitreya was just sitting there in the presence of Uddhava, and Krishna was talking to Uddhava. Maitreya is a sage in this material world, but Uddhava is the eternal associate of the Lord. And Maitreya was there. He happened to be there and heard them. But here, what is Uddhava? See, this is the position of Uddhava. And what is he saying? He's saying, Vidura, you better take guidance from Maitreya because he is more senior. So his position really shows the great humility. And through his example, Prabhupada is teaching in his purport about Maryada Vyatikrama, or the topic of Vaishnava etiquette. Our Bhakti Lata, that seed or that creeper of devotion, has to be fenced, to be protected from unfavorable offenses. In India, maybe some of you who are from India, or at least who were, born and raised in India, you may relate to this. When they put plants, small plants, yeah, do they protect it from a fence, to cover it so that other animals or some other, species don't come and eat that plant? Has anyone seen this in India? No? Nobody? At least in South India, in Hyderabad, I have seen this. I remember my father used to do this. Oh, otherwise these birds, these animals, cows or some animal will come and eat all the leaves away. Yeah, so they would protect it. At least it grew tall enough that but they would protect it. So they were fenced. So in devotion also, the aparad is considered as the biggest offense. So offense is, we lose that protection of bhakti if we commit offense. Because this protection, it consists of the blessings. And first of all, as we saw, I started with, Srimati Radharani's example. That protection is the blessings of the Vaishnavas. And Lord's blessings will follow Vaishnava's blessings. When we have Vaishnava's blessings, then we receive Lord's blessing. So the point is, Vaishnava etiquette is very important. This is the spiritual culture. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also made great emphasis of proper Vaishnava behavior and etiquette. in temples, when you walk in, we may have observed, right? There are some etiquettes when devotees walk in or before they walk in, they ring the bell, right? Or when they walk in, you offer obeisances to Srila Prabhupada and to the deities, right? And sometimes we see, I have seen personally, especially when the class starts and then still devotees are coming right in front of the speaker or passing the speaker, to avoid that distraction. Has anyone seen? I've seen Dronacharya Prabhu putting those small barricade kind of thing, to stop. Has anyone noticed that in the temple?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they go
So,
other side.
to avoid distraction during the lecture, yeah. So, these are all etiquettes, right? Temple etiquettes, Vaishnava etiquette. Same way in relationships also, there is an etiquette. There is an etiquette, and we should respect these positions, as Srila Prabhupada is explaining here. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in the Antya Leela, he tells Sanatan Goswami that Vaishnava's jewel or ornament is this etiquette, sadachar. He says in the Antya Leela 4.129 and 130, he says, my dear Sanatan Goswami, although you're the deliverer of the entire universe, and although even the great saints are purified by touching you, it is the characteristic of a devotee to observe and protect the Vaishnava etiquette. So Vaishnava etiquette, he says, maintenance of the Vaishnava etiquette is the ornament of a devotee. Yeah. And there are some other pastimes also where, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, I can't tolerate transgression of Maryada, of Vaishnava etiquette. And the situation was Jagadananda Pandit was asked advice by Sanatan Goswami. And Jagadananda Pandit was advising, you should do this, you shouldn't do this. Then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, who is this boy Jagadananda? Who is he to instruct you? What right does he have? And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu didn't appreciate that Sanatan Goswami is such a senior person, learned person. By comparison, Jagadananda is a boy. Why should he be advising? So the point is, this is the principle, yeah, of the senior, yeah. And actually, not just in spiritual culture, but even in ordinary culture, right? Elders should be respected, right? Isn't that true? At least we see, I think across the board in all cultures, this this tradition is there, this culture is there. Am I right? We have people from all different parts of the world. Do you all agree about this culture? Yeah. When I was growing up, on my on my birthdays, at least when there was no cake cutting, and in our house there was no concept of going out for lunches or dinners. My mom would make some, a vegetable pulao or fried rice and some sweet, kheer or gulab jamun. And my uncle used to live across the street, who was much elderly person, very close, my dad's sister and her husband. So I would give uh, that food to them a little bit and take their blessings and come, bow down, touch their feet. This every year, this was the routine. There is no other birthday, no friends invited, nothing. Just taking the blessings of the elders, and that's it. This was the culture. And
Yeah.
this is, I know, even in India now, it is more or less out of the window, at least in the modern society, in the probably even here in the Western society. But this is the culture that in the presence of a senior, one should be very respectful. I was reading about this, Saudi Arabia, Saudi Arabia, the one who started Saudi Arabia was Al Saud. He had many sons. Just to give an example that outside of spiritual culture also, respecting elders part, I just wanted to give an example. So he had many sons. One of his sons became a finance minister. The eldest son became the prime minister, and others had other positions. And one of those, the son who became the finance minister was a really, really sharp guy, very intelligent. Yeah. And any diplomats who would come to Saudi would first meet with him personally and update and have discussions on different, topics. But then in the court, when everybody assembled in the court, in the presence of his elder brother, who was the prime minister or the king, any guesses what was the position of the finance minister? Any guesses? He was the smartest, most intelligent person. Everybody would come and meet him. But in that court, he would be quiet, not speak a word unless he was asked to speak, because he was the younger brother. He was the subject of the king. So this was the etiquette. So one has to be very respectful to in the presence of senior. So point is, even in Saudi, such etiquette was maintained. Here Uddhava is very, very capable of instructing Vidura. He was very intelligent. He was a direct disciple of Brihaspati. Krishna himself took advice from him, consulted him for so many things. As I pointed out earlier, he was so intimate with Lord Krishna. He was very, very capable to answer all of Vidura's questions. But the key point is, Uddhava was an expert. So not just knowing, but realized knowledge. Gyan and Vigyan. We heard many times. Vigyan is realized knowledge. So he knew, this is not my place. This is not my duty. Because Vidura is so senior. And Vidura was no ordinary personality, right? He came from this senior generation of Hastinapur, Dhritarashtra, Pandu, all these. So he was a very senior person. And Uddhava was a junior person. So Uddhava thought this is not a very good thing. I shouldn't be instructing my senior. And especially, there is a suitable person there, Maitreya. And he is very senior. He is the right person, not me. Although Vidura was approaching Uddhava very humbly, "Oh, Uddhava, you are very, very qualified. Please instruct me." This was Vidura's mood of approaching Uddhava. What was Uddhava's response? He's taking such a humble position. He didn't think I'm very qualified. He didn't think I should instruct. Right? Being genuinely qualified means to take this correct and humble position. You all are with me? Does that make sense?
Yeah, true.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. So these words we read, Nanute Tattva Samradya Rishi Kausharavontike. You may take lessons from respectable, worshipable person Maitreya Rishi. This is what Uddhava is saying. From respectable, worshipable person. He is a rishi. He is a learned scholar. He is just nearby Antikeya. Vishwanath Chakravarti also gives another explanation. He was there. Antikeya, the other explanation is he was there at the end. What does end means? End when the Supreme Personality of Godhead was leaving this earthly planet. And Lord chose to instruct. So, Sakshat Bhagavatadishto is personally received these instructions from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the other thing we can understand here is Uddhava is saying Maitreya is highly qualified. He shows respect to Maitreya, but is also indicating to Vidura that I'm not sending you to a less qualified person. Yeah, Maitreya is not a less qualified person. He's been personally instructed by the Lord. Sakshat Bhagavatadishto. How qualified is he? Yeah. Martya Lokam Jihasita. Amartya Lokam means place where Lord is living. Means Martya Loka means a place where everyone is mortal. Right? Mrityu. Martya Mrityu. Mrityu means death. Right? Death. And Martya means those who are meant for death. Martya Loka. In the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, this reference is given, right? Martya Loka. Kshine punye Martya Loke. Yes. When those who attain heavenly planets by performing great sacrifices, having used up all the results of their pious activities, what happens after their pious activities have ended? What happens to them?
They will go, they leave the body. They'll go to other planet.
They'll go where?
Other planet?
Which planet? From the heavenly planet,
Heavenly planet,
one
yeah.
goes to heavenly planet after accumulating lot of pious results. And when those pious results are all used up, what happens to the living entity?
Come back, come back.
Come back. Where does he come back? Shine punye martya loka. Krishna is saying again, you will come back to this world of death. Of course, even the heavenly places are places of birth and death. Abrahma bhuvana loka punaravartino Arjuna. But Prabhupada explains that by our calculations, by our, here it is 100 years, right? But there it is millions of years. We know Brahma's one day. So by our calculations, it seems demigods are practically immortal. It's just a relative consideration, right? Like, have you ever waited for a bus or a train?
Yeah.
And then, especially if it doesn't show up on time or you have to wait a long time, what do we say? Oh, I had to wait forever,
Forever.
right? You say, I waited forever for that train or for that bus. Yeah? It just means that, you waited for a long, long time. Like that in the demigod planets also, you may stay. The life may be long, long, but then eventually you come down. Yeah. But Lord, of course, is beyond this birth and death, but he performed these pastimes like an ordinary mortal person. Even you and I, the spirit soul, is also not subjected to birth and death, right? Na jayate mrete va kadachin
Chinmaya Bhutta. Bhavita
nayam
Vate Bhuyo
va bhavita
Yonitya
va.
Saswatoyam.
Yes. So we have no birth or death. Na jayate mrete va kadachin. But we accept this body, which is subjected to birth and death. So it appears that live and die. So because the Lord entered this world, this Martya Loka, to keep pace with these conventions of this world, he also performed pastimes where it seems like he is also leaving his body or this world, Martya Loka. Yeah. And before doing so, he instructed Maitreya. So we can learn through all this how much we respect to show to senior persons And this Vaishnava culture is quite hierarchical actually. Uh, Jay Advaita Swami Maharaj recalls one of his experience in New Vrindavan at a Vyasa Puja festival when Srila Prabhupada was there. It was time to offer flowers and dandavats. And Prabhupada said, any ideas what he said? Who should be offering first?
His Guru.
No,
Krishna.
all the devotees were there. He said in the order of seniority. Said sannyasis first, and then order of seniority. And after that, again, order of seniority. He didn't say alphabetical order or somebody else. No. And by order of seniority, he was particular. He said, who is senior? Who took? It was the one who took initiation first. Somebody may have taken sannyas later, right? Maybe sannyas, but who took initiation first? Whoever received diksha first, they are senior. So, and of course, if someone is older, if he's an old man, he's given respect. Srila Prabhupada talks about that in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Congratulations and respects are given to Suta Goswami. In the qualifications of a speaker, Prabhupada explains he should be the leader of the assembly, very learned, older. In that way, Suta Goswami was given preference. But in other cases also, you see, Prahlad Maharaj was given preference. But how old was he? He was older. He was 5 years old, but he was given priority. One becomes old because of knowledge. We see that. And the other day I was hearing Madhavi Gaurangi Mataji was explaining in the class about Sukadev Goswami. How old was he?
Teenagers.
16
Yeah,
years.
about 16
16.
years. Maybe when he came out of the womb, maybe 19, maybe 16, yeah. And everyone is getting up to offer respect. Narada is standing up. Everyone stands up for a 16-year-old because he was very advanced in knowledge. Although sages were present, learned men were there, still preference was given to Sukadev Goswami because he was vastly learned. Because he was a great sage and a great devotee of the Lord. So point was, age can be acquired by knowledge and devotion. Yeah. So Uddhava gave preference. Not to instruct in the presence of his senior. So he was very careful of Maryada Vyatikrama. Means overstepping. Vyatikrama means overstepping a senior personality. Um, I'm talking about myself. Sometimes one should be very careful, especially when a senior person is speaking. He may ask, or one may interrupt or ask a question. It may seem like a question, but they may be speaking. So we should be very careful, to be very humble in front of senior devotees. We may, should not pretend as if we have more knowledge. So the etiquette is to be quiet, I'm a junior, there are so many senior persons, I should hear, not speak. And Srila Prabhupada said, the sign of a Vaishnava is he's a perfect gentleman. So when a gentleman is present in the presence of his senior or respectable persons, he knows how to show that respect. He doesn't try to overstep on them. He knows his duty is to offer respect. So Uddhava perfectly set that example by showing respect to Maitreya and instructed Vidura that I am not the right person, he is the right person. And thereby he sets up this stage for a long discourse between Vidura and Maitreya, which forms the basis of this this third and fourth cantos. Uh, so we also see, Srila Prabhupada in his personal life, and there are different situations. I'll just give a couple of examples. Um, he followed etiquette, according to spiritual considerations. He didn't always follow, always. I mean, for majority of the part he did, but so sometimes he followed spiritual etiquette, spiritual considerations. Once he was received an official reception at a city hall in Geneva, and a very senior person from the local government was going to come and address. And Prabhupada was told before itself what kind of etiquette he was supposed to stand and do all this. And the man from the government came, and everybody expected Srila Prabhupada to stand, but he didn't stand, you know. And the man waited for a few seconds and then he started his official address. Then later on, Srila Prabhupada commented, "Why should I stand for him? And Srila Prabhupada is Krishna's representative." And he said, "Why should I stand for a politician? Why should a Brahmana stand for a Kshatriya?" Hmm. So, point is, Srila Prabhupada didn't always follow the conventional etiquette. Although, as I said, sometimes he would. He was generally very, very, you know, um, some senior person, then he would give the chair, which is required. This is the etiquette. And we see Krishna also was very respectful. The way he spoke to Vasudeva and Devaki and, to Sandipani Muni, he was very reverential and respectful. Uh, uh, um, there are other examples also, if you see, and we should be careful in one such, in New York also, when Srila Prabhupada went to the consulate, he met the vice consul or the secretary there. And, Srila Prabhupada at every opportunity would preach. He was not much interested in answering these official questions. He was more interested in sharing Krishna consciousness. Uh, and he was, as we heard, he spoke very strongly. They said he was dishing it out very strongly. Uh, and then Prabhupada was accompanied by Kirtiraj Prabhu. Um, and Srila Prabhupada said, I can do that because I'm an old man. So he has to listen. But, Kirtiraj, you cannot do that. Mm. If you were like that, it wouldn't have gone the same way. Mm. Uh, that council, the vice council at the consulate, he knew he had to show respect to the old man, especially that, it was Swami Prabhupada. Swamiji was there, so he had to show respect. And he sat and took it. And Srila Prabhupada also sat and gave him respect. Uh, but, we should be careful not to imitate, uh, to have the same standing like the teacher, then that becomes Maryada Vyatikrama, crossing that line, As Prabhupada writes here in today's purport at the end, he says, impertinence, so we need to be very careful, they say, like a little man with a big mouth, right? And one example that comes from Bhagavatam in the first canto that we read was from Shringi, right? Shringi was the son of a Brahmana, and he uttered a curse which was effective and was brought about Parikshit's death, right? And Srila Prabhupada points out that Shringi lacked culture. Srila Prabhupada said he was uncultured, puffed up son of a Brahmana. That is what he was. If we, in the purports, Prabhupada explains he was with his little friends throwing a little fit, speaking about Dharma, was telling his little friends, just see my powers, and I'm going to curse this king. He's showing off, impressing his friends, see how powerful I am. And his father was shocked.
Yeah.
You curse such a great king, such a great devotee. What a fool you are. The father was very matured and experienced. He knew that is not the duty of a Brahmana to curse the king. So Shringi had little power, had status, but he didn't have culture and was puffed up. So Prabhupada explains, what does he say? Is very risky to progressive spiritual realization, So this is very, very corrosive to our Krishna consciousness, this kind of attitude and behavior. Uh, we see in the Vedic culture, as I've been saying all along in this session, that we take blessings from the seniors. When Arjuna before the war, anyone remembers what did he do to Dronacharya?
Yes, obeisances.
He shoots arrows to offer
Yeah, on
obeisances
his,
at the lotus feet
at
of
his
his
feet,
teacher.
at his feet, yeah.
And what does Dronacharya? Shoots arrows at his head, giving blessings, and says, "Come on, fight me." And on the contrary, you see Dhritarashtra's son, Duryodhan. He was mocking, criticizing.
He didn't do it.
Yeah, he's telling Bhishma and Drona, "You're not serious about fighting.
Yeah,
You are holding back because you are very affectionate to Pandavas." So, what is Prabhupada saying in today's words? This kind of behavior, Maryada Vyatik. Okay, I'll repeat this please here. According to scriptural injunction, one should be very careful of transgressing the law of Maryada Vyatikrama, because by doing so, one loses his duration of life, his opulence, fame, and piety, and the blessings of all the world. See what happened to Duryodhan, right? So, lost everything. And we see Yudhishthira Maharaj, after the Kurukshetra war, we read this also in the first canto. Every morning, what would he do? He would offer respects and seek blessings from whom? Anyone remembers?
who,
Dhritarashtra and Gandhari. Remember, they were in his house. They are seniors. So the Vedic Vaishnava culture, we seek blessings of seniors. Yeah, by blessings of the seniors, one makes progress in life, and by offending, one ruins oneself. So otherwise, and Prabhupada is making these points. Otherwise, not trying to show off his strength or knowledge. He wasn't eager to get a prized disciple at the expense of proper conduct. He rather wanted to show respect. Yeah, yeah. Uh, and we see even Parikshit Maharaj, after being cursed by Shringi uh, and the banks of Yamuna, he didn't think, "Oh, I'm a great devotee of
yeah.
Lord, I'm Vishnu
He didn't.
Ratha. I was personally protected by Krishna in the womb of my mother. Now see, I'm just going to fast for 7 days and go back to Vaikuntha." Did he do that?
He didn't say anything like that.
He seek blessings
He
of
seeks
all the sages who assembled there.
That's all. Yeah.
Yeah, so and earlier I mentioned about Sukdev Goswami, was 16-year-old. That was an extraordinary situation, right? Uh, they could have chosen Narada or Vyasa, who was there. Why Sukadev Goswami? 16-year-old, you know. Uh, but it happens this way to instruct us that this is not a usual thing. And Sukadev Goswami also understood this. Uh, he didn't, by the way, it was not like Vyasadeva was already on the asan, on the stage, or Narada was on the asan and he took over them. No, no, no. He took blessings of these great sages and then he spoke. He begins by offering respects to all the sages, guru, and all the other worshipable persons, and then only he speaks. right? So we can see all these exceptional behaviors from these great personalities. There are two other examples that I just wanted to remember and want to share, and then I'll pause. Romaharshana Sutta, if you remember that thing, that example is also there. He was beheaded by Balram because he was puffed up sitting on that asana, thinking that I don't have to offer respects to anyone, not even to Balaram, right? That's Maryada Vyatikrama. And even Indra's example is there. Of course, many examples are there for Indra. But when Durvasa Muni was passing by, he saw Indra on the back of the elephant Airavat, and he was pleased to offer. He had a garland on his neck, the mercy of the Lord. That garland he put on Indra, and Indra, being too puffed up, took the garland, and without any respect for Durvasa Muni, what did he do?
And neck
He put that garland on
and
the
his
trunk of the elephant.
okay.
And what did the elephant do? Yes, the elephant, could not understand the value of the garland, just threw the garland between its legs and smashed it. And Durvasa was right there. All this happened in front of him. And seeing this insulting behavior, Durvasa immediately cursed Indra. To be what? Indra is the king of the heavens, right? He cursed him to become poverty stricken, bereft of all material opulence. As Prabhupada writes, you lose all your opulence when you do Maryada Vyatikrama. The demigods, uh, on one side, the demons were, constantly a threat and fighting. And on the other side, there's the curse of Durvasa Muni. And they lost all opulences. Um, yeah, some of these points yeah, one can remember. And Maitreya was a classmate of Vyasadev. Maitreya and Vyasa is another point. Uh, it's explained that earlier Maitreya was a mixed devotee. But since he heard directly from the Lord before Lord left this universe, uh, uh, he became perfect. And Maitreya and Vyasa, it's explained in the other place that they both were the students of Parashara Muni. They were classmates. Uh, and Parashara was Vyasa in a previous millennium, And um, so the point is, just adding some more credibility to Maitreya Muni. Um, like how you can see, being such senior, Uddhava is recommending that, okay, this Maitreya is very qualified, uh, and he's a very, very senior person, and he'll be able to implement. Sometimes we can see, I may speak, I may say so many things, but as a junior, I will not have the realizations of a very senior person, right? I may just have theoretical knowledge of things, but practical knowledge, this senior advanced devotees have, right? Uh, so, yeah, one should be very careful not to get carried away with the circumstances, uh, so that we are not offending Vaishnava, either in mind or words or actions. And one should be very careful not to be envious, and then one will lose one's devotion. So Bhagavatam is teaching, how can I from these verses increase my understanding? What is this verse teaching me in my personal life, how to practice? Yeah. Um, And if it is required for one to speak, then one must seek permission before one can speak. Yes, just a few points I wanted to share for today. I beg for forgiveness if I have said anything that was not pleasing. Please forgive me. I just try to repeat again this. I'm not at all qualified to talk on this very elevated subject matter, but just for my own purification, I try to share, and I seek all of your blessings so I can imbibe some of this and be very careful in my own spiritual life. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Krishna Prabhu. It's a very good class, and then yes, we have to respect seniors all the time, and then no matter what caste or whatever it is, they're seniors. We should always be polite to them. So that's what my always. But only one thing I feel, because I am old age, I might be feeling that way. If we tell younger generation, how much people are understanding this? Because they say, no, you just say in your own old days, not now anymore. We need not do that anymore. So that's what their answer is. It's very hard to convince them that, you know what, these things I'm not telling. Puranas since long time. Puranas are saying this. But they don't have any time to read these Puranas. Listen to these things. That's what all the time I feel so bad. Our culture is going down and down because whatever we're trying to teach them strongly, tell them at home, when they go out with other friends, they're just losing that. This very sad thing, I don't know how to convince them again and listen. But 1 in 100, they are there. Okay. I'm not saying totally they are not there. 1 in 100, 1%, they do that. But it's very hard to tell them, this is not the thing I am telling. Oh, grandma, you are just old. You are telling your olden days you are doing like that. That's okay. But we cannot do that. Their attitude is that, not only my grandkids. If sometimes I convince them some or other, they run away from my speech. They will walk out from there. But, I try to convince them. But other thing, I'm telling you, most of the kids I see, their attitude is like that. I feel so sorry for them. I myself is not from that Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, like that. But at least from at the end of this, beginning of this Kali Yuga, or not even beginning of this Kali Yuga, after 5,000 years, this is my beginning. But still, I kept those little bit taste, and I try to convince them, tell them. So that's how old people are trying to tell. Not only me, all the older generation I'm talking about. It's very sad for the younger generation. So this younger generation parents, they need to convince them, they need to tell them. It's not that I am telling this. This is there since a long time. That's why I got in my mind. That's why I'm telling mine. Like you said, parampara system. I am telling by my grandfathers, my grandparents, other people, they told me that I got something, then I am trying to tell you. And you can tell your kids that we can keep that tradition. That's what my feeling is. That's all. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for sharing, Mataji. I just remembered yesterday's class in the temple. Maybe other senior Vaishnavas on the call may add or correct me. But, again, our intention is not that oh, they must respect me or they must bow down to me. Uh, I'm not saying that is
No.
what your intention. I'm just so as Prabhuji was talking, he gave example of children. Remember, I think it was Satyaraj Prabhu who asked this question about, how do you force the children, or how do you remember you were there? This question.
Yeah.
So, we be the best example we can and show by, and
Practical.
beyond that, you can't force anybody, and that won't last long. So remember, not just in Kali Yuga, even in Satya Yuga, a lot of things happened.
Yeah, yeah.
There is Maryada Vyatikrama. We are hearing so many of these. So it's not, but that sometimes, as Prabhuji said, whatever samskaras that we teach, especially in the spiritual culture from childhood, there may be a certain age and phase in a kid's life
Mm-hmm.
where there's so many things happening,
Yeah.
hormonal change, so many things happening, uh, that one must be, have faith that eventually, they see, they may a little bit may get little off track here and there, but eventually they'll be on track. We do our best, and we have to tolerate those rough phases, and everyone goes through those teenage, things. But you see a lot of. I was also very, honestly speaking, I was a bit rebellious in these in some of these things. So I can relate to this. But you keep on, giving them prasadam, and as long as they bow down to the Lord and his pure devotees, and they engage.
Forcing won't help.
Yeah. So
See,
pray to
that
the
thing,
Lord.
one thing is
And
forcing won't help at all. They'll become rebellious when we force. So that is not the thing. I'm talking. I'm feeling that whatever
yeah,
I said, those are my feelings. There's
sure.
nothing I can help anybody.
Yeah.
But I'm reaching senior age, but what is that I left behind? Nothing. So that is the thing. Seniors, all seniors, not only me, all seniors.
Mm.
Anyway, we'll wish for them. We
Please,
bless the younger generation, and we wish good luck for them. That's all.
please bless me as well. Thank you. Please,
You
please.
always, you always do that with me. Hare, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Maybe somebody else has some corrections, comments. I see Dronacharya Prabhu is there and other devotees.
Hare Krishna Prananatha Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for a nice class. A lot of very nice points in the purport, as you mentioned, and that you also illuminated in your talk. It just got me thinking, a point of discussion about expansion of the Krishna consciousness movement and the Sankirtan movement. And there was a letter by Srila Prabhupada. Because in the very early days, I can pull it up pretty quickly. I just don't have access to it right now.
Okay.
But I can. But it's a famous letter where Srila Prabhupada, he wrote, and he basically said that he basically wants all his sons and daughters to become spiritual master, and assume the title of Bhaktivedanta, and that there was some qualifications, some tests, Chaitanya, nectar of devotion, Bhagavad Gita, nectar of instruction, and if they pass these tests, then they can assume this title and start initiating. And he saw this as the path forward to, and this is like early days, this is like in the late 60s, that he saw this. And obviously it's not at the point of, you're stepping over or jumping over the spiritual master, because it's only by the spiritual master that one is qualified to then go ahead and teach. Srila Prabhupada had this vision of, wanting. At one point, it didn't necessarily manifest that way during his pastimes on this earth, but he he saw this, that, he wanted, all his disciples to become qualified and, then make disciples. And then sometimes we even see now, it's not very common, but it's starting to happen in some circumstances where, some spiritual masters are, giving permission to their disciples to then begin to initiate and make disciples for the purpose of purpose of spreading the Krishna consciousness movement. And even if it's not a diksha, the principle of shiksha, is also there for the purpose of helping souls come back home, back to Godhead. But it has to be done, of course, under the direction of the spiritual master. It can't be done whimsically. Okay, I feel like I should be doing this, therefore I'm just going to go off on my own and do what I feel is right, using my small brain. So I think that's the principle. In either way, you're still following the directions and orders of the spiritual master. So in that way, you're not jumping over the spiritual master's direction. Anyway, that was just point of discussion that I was thinking of as you were speaking and reading. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Excellent point. And as you said at the end of that, that yes, we may be, whatever the situations and circumstances are, may have to preach, as long as one is doing it under the guidance, of Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, then, that should be okay. Yeah. Seek permission and blessings, and then only proceed. Jai, thank you. Anyone else? It's already 9:05. So if there are no comments or questions, then we can end here. Yeah, thank you so
Hare
much.
Krishna.
Grantaraj, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila
Jai.
Prabhupada ki jai, Vancha
Kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhyo
Avanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Nanta
Hare
Koti
Krishna.
Vaishnava ki jai.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prananatha, Prabhu.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna.